Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome, welcome. It is April Fool's Day, April 1st. Yay, no fooling though. We are going to have a great time. We are making a fun fold card. We're going to be making the same fun fold card for both of our card tutorials tonight, but we'll be using two completely different stamp sets, okay? So we're going to start with Storybook Garden Patch and Storybook Friends, boho blue ink and cardstock. Now, just to let you know, I checked just minutes before we went live. The single packs of boho blue cardstock are already sold out. They're no longer in the store, and you can get the boho blue in the 8.5 by 11 pack if you didn't have any on hand and you really wanted to make this card exactly as is. Okay, so let's take a look and see who's on here, and then we'll get started. Let me see where we're at. See if I can find the video. Let me refresh my screen. See if that pops on. Of course not. It's not going to be easy. It's okay. We'll find it. And okay, let's refresh one more time and then we'll go the other route. There it is. Got it. And here we are. Let's see who's on. There we go. Okay, sorry, I was a couple minutes late. Was scrambling around. All right, so hello, Jennifer. How are you? So glad you found me. Sorry I was a bit late. I don't like to be those minutes late as I was scrambling to get my things together here. All right, so as I was saying, we're going to make two cards tonight. One fun fold. Both cards will be the fun fold, but it will be the same fun fold. Has a little bit of a wow, it's easy. And we're going to start with Storybook Friends and Storybook Garden Patch. Hello, Laura. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so let's go ahead and move these out of the way. If you didn't hear me, boho blue cardstock in the single packs is sold out. However, you still can get boho blue in the assortment pack. But, you know, the last chance list went live, and there we are. Because that's a retiring color, when it's gone, and once it hit the last chance list, it's already sold out. All right, hello, Tracy. Okay, so let's take a look at our fun fold. Okay. So this is our card. This is how it starts. This is just a prototype, right? It's got a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card base. And then when you open it, it pops up for a shadow box. What? Isn't that fun? This takes two pieces of cardstock, I think 5 score lines, and you're good to go. So easy and such a wow. So, oh no. Are you guys having trouble with the signal? Because I'm not going to be a happy camper with my internet. Let's see where we're at. Hang on 1 second. Give me one. I'm going to go check the internet signal super fast. And hopefully we will not have any issues. I just happened to see watching for live signal. Did you guys see that? are waiting for live signal. I hope that was not on the camera. So let's take a quick look and see if we're going to have issues, because I certainly hope not. Hello, Cynthia. At least this gives everybody another second to get on. And then we'll see where we're at. Nope. Well, the download speed is good. Okay. Is anybody having any issues on your end? Okay. Upload speed. That's what I need. The upload speed should be good. I should be good. Okay. Sorry about that. I got a waiting for live signal feed message across my screen. Okay. Let's bring in our supplies. You're going to need a piece of balmy blue cardstock, 4 1/4 by 11. You need a second piece, not balmy blue, boho blue. You need a second piece of boho blue. This piece is 4 1/4 by 6 3/4. I've already cut my window. Okay. I did some stuff ahead of time so that we can try and get through these 2 cards. All right, so let's take a look at these. We're going to score our 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece. We're going to score this at 5 1/2 and 9 3/4. Okay, 5 1/2, 9 3/4. Then I'm going to flip this and score at 4 1/4 on the other side. Okay. I originally saw this fun fold by Julie Salva, who is a fellow demonstrator. I added this second line. If you were to watch her video, she did not put this line in, but on my original card, which I have right here, I didn't have that score. That score wasn't in there. And when you pop this open, this does not fold back. So it just kind of sits there and you really can't see what's inside. So I added this score line to help us so that you can open that card a little bit better and actually see the pop-up. Okay, so again, let's go over that. 4 1/4 by 11, 5 1/2 inches, 9 3/4. Flip it to the back side and score at 4 1/4. Okay. Then with our 4 1/4 by 6 3/4 inch piece, you're going to score it at 1 1/4. Flip it 180 degrees and 1 1/4. Okay. And then you're going to cut whatever shape you want to use out of the center. Okay. I pre-stamped with the elements of text before I cut it out. You might, I wanted to see, I've done it both ways. Stamped after and just use some, well, it doesn't even matter because these parts you're not going to see. So whatever you stamp, it doesn't matter. It depends on what you're going to use this for and whether you want that stamping on the other piece. Okay, so you decide when you do your stamping. I'm going to go ahead and fold this back on the score line and burnish. Hello, Cynthia, in case I didn't say hello. So we're just going to do that. Okay, this is the mechanism for our pop-up right here. We're going to fold these back like we would regular. Turn your valley score into a mountain fold on both of these. It really does make a difference in your creases. Okay, so this is the front of our card. This is going to be the inside of our card. So now we've got a valley score. We need to fold this back the other direction. Okay, and this is the piece that's going to allow us to have our card open fully. Okay, all right. So before we add these pieces, let's go ahead and do a little bit of decorating, because it's easier to decorate this section before you put this on. So let's set those out of the way for just a moment, and let's grab our other pieces. Okay, you will need a piece of 4" by 4" basic white or white willow. I've used both. In this particular card, I'm using basic white. And I need to stamp in here before I add this. Okay. Actually, I'm not stamping in here because I don't know what I'm putting in here. So I'm just going to add this, and I will stamp it or write in it later. This is for your signature. There it is. I'm talking and looking for my silicone mat. So I'm just going to put, like I typically do on my signature, I'm just going to put a top layer of Stampin' Seal, and that way if I need to remove it later, it's a lot easier to do. Okay, so I've got that in. For my inside piece, I'm using a piece of the Special Moments Designer Series paper, Storybook Moments, yeah, right here. Okay, and this is that Designer Series paper. As you can see, we're using the strawberries. All right, you get, well, actually for this one, you get two each of 5 double-sided designs, and then you get 2 die-cut sheets. So let's find our tape runner here. And I'm going to put this in. Okay. And then we're just going to center this up. This one right here, right? Yep. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 5th largest. And then we take the 4th, or the 6th largest, and we cut a piece of white. Okay. And I've already done that. And just to mention, when you cut out this piece here, save this piece. You're going to use it on the front. Okay. So we've got our wonky circle here, and we're going to put this in and we're going to decorate it. Now, how are we going to know where this needs to go? Right? So let's we're going to bring back in our piece here, straighten this out. I'm going to lay this down, put the corners to each other, put this along the fold line here, and then I'm going to center this. Okay, so let's take some Stampin' Seal, and we're just going to add this in. Line that up, get this all ready to go. You could eyeball this and just try to center it. I found this an easier way for myself to know that that's where I need it to be. Okay, so now let's go ahead and decorate this. And we need to do some stamping. So let's get a piece of basic white that we can stamp on. And stamp ourselves up some images here. Okay, now, just so you know, I already did all this, but I'll show you what you need. Okay, you're going to need a carrot from the garden patch, strawberry from the garden patch, and actually, you need 3 of these, I believe. And then we need some radishes, or a radish. Okay, and there is that. Now, for our sentiment, we're going to bring in just a little small strip here. I'm going to switch that from black, and I'm going to bring in one of the 2025 to 2027 in colors, Secret C, and I'm going to stamp Somebody Loves You. This Secret C is becoming one of my favorites very quickly. Okay, so I've got that. Then we're going to take a die from Cheerful Daisies. This is on the last chance list. And as always, none of my dies ever seem to be the right size, so we are going to alter this to fit what I want. So I'm going to put this in where I want it, center that up as best I can. Then we'll bring in our mini machine. And if you do it this way, this allows your black ink to dry before you start coloring. So we need to put this with the end that we want to cut going in the machine first. Okay, I'm not going to cut the whole thing all at once. I know you guys have watched me do this because I do it a lot. Nothing ever seems to be the right way. And then I'm just going to lay this with the edge of my cutting plate where I want it to stop cutting. Okay. Keep in mind that when you do that, the beveled edge also will not cut. There's a beveled edge on your top plate, actually on all your acrylic plates, and that won't cut either. Okay, so let's move this out of the way for just a second. Now we're going to flip this around, take off our tape, and this is what we have. We have this flappy do. So now we're going to take and lay this down, find the groove from those dotted lines, set that in there where we want it to cut again, and this time we only need to cut a little bit of it, so we're just going to put that back in. Okay, so we went from this size to this size. Okay, I didn't take the time to really center that up, but it's okay. I'm covered. That stuff always happens during a live, right? So here we are, we've got that. Now, while we have that out, we're going to color all of these, and we're going to cut ourselves 2 of these pots and 2 tops out of copper clay. Okay, so we need 2. All right. And actually, we need 3. Here we are. I should cut one because I want to show you how I did that one. So we'll go ahead and run that through just so I can show you how I did this. Okay. And then we're going to color all of these up with our Stampin' Blends. And these are our colors. Oh, I forgot to stamp my rabbits. I needed 2 rabbits from the Storybook Friends, right? I just want to show you what all you need. Okay, so we need this rabbit, and then we need the taller rabbit. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's put him on a block super fast. And then you should have all of your pieces. Okay. So you color all of those using the Stampin' Blends. Okay. And then we've got a carrot. These all have coordinating dies. There's no fussy cutting. Okay. Got a radish. Strawberries. And here's my other 2 strawberries right here. Okay. We've got our bunny. There you go. All colored and cut out. Now, let's show you how I did this. Okay. So we've got those pieces. We're going to run these 2 through our die cut machine. Hope those don't disappear. Okay. And remember, you need 3. 3, 3, 3. So we'll run those through. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's put these up in my magnetic holder here so they don't disappear. Pop these out. All 3 of my pots started this same way. Okay. Now, you can leave your pots just like this. I wanted to add a bit of dimension. So I'm going to bring in my copper clay markers, my alcohol Stampin' Blends. Let's start with my dark. And I'm going to brush on some color here on the side. Over here. And a little bit through here. This is very forgiving when you're putting marker onto cardstock like this. Don't get too crazy though. Your cardstock will get quite wet. Okay, so now we've got this. And then I'm just going to take and put, this is still the light. I'm not using the dark up here. And I'm not going to use all of this, so I'm just going to do this part that I'm going to use, okay? All right. So let's put that away. I love to color on colored cardstock and give it more depth. But as you can see, I've got some different colors that would be in a terracotta pot. Okay, so we're going to take this. I want to make this into a single pot that looks like this. Okay, so I'm just going to take this piece here and I'm going to take my scissors and just cut that off like so. Okay, just rounding that edge. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so now I've got my edge. My pot, I'm just going to take and cut off at that first joint, like so. Okay, so I cut off the top two and left that first one. And then we're going to take a little bit of liquid glue here. And we're just going to add it over here on the edges. I'm not even worried about the inside so much. Okay. And then we'll lay this down right there, like so. Okay. Now I've got a single pot versus a triple pot stack, all out of the same two dies. Okay. So now we've got that. I want to be able to put my rabbit in one of my pots. And I want to put strawberries in this pot. So I'm going to bring in my cutting mat and my take your pick tool, which has a craft knife attachment. This is available in my online store. And I'm just going to take and cut right across here with my craft knife. And that's going to allow me to put my strawberries inside my pot. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with one of my other pots to put my bunny in. Just run my craft knife along there and cut a slit in there for my bunny. Okay, so we'll take and pop our bunny in here like so. And I just want him to stay like that. And I'm not probably going to pop him up. So I'm going to take a small piece of tear and tape and hold him down with that. Okay, and then he's not going anywhere. All right. Now we need our strawberries. Let's get this out of the way. We need those strawberries. And we're going to put those in here like so. Arrange those how we like them. And we're going to do the same thing with these. Because of the nature of this card, I don't really want to pop it up too much because if I do, now see those are attached, then it won't fit in my envelope or cost me extra money. Okay, so now we have our pieces. Let's finish putting this together. We're going to start on the inside. Actually, let's go ahead and do this part. Get the So we'll center that up. Then we need a 1" by 4" strip of designer series paper for here. And I'm using the same pattern that I used on the inside. And then we're just going to place that here. Center it as best we can. All right, now we have that piece that we cut out of the inside here. Okay, right like this. Then I took this piece and I ran it through the die cut machine with the Plaster Painting 3D embossing folder. And I wanted it to look like a little bit of ground. So I stuck this in here on the side so that I could get those ridges, okay? And then ran that through. And now I have this, okay? This actually is the front side. This is the embossed side, this piece right here. But I thought it looked more like ground when you flipped it over. So I'm using the debossed side for the front. And I'm just going to add this to the center here. And you know I like to use liquid glue whenever I have 3D embossing. I just think it holds better. Okay, so we'll center this up. I might need to refresh my comments unless you guys are not saying anything. My last comment on the screen is Cynthia saying hello. So let's refresh. See if you guys are just super quiet. Oh, looks like you're just super quiet. Okay, so I've got that piece. Now, before I get too carried away here and I get too much dimension on the front, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the inside. And now is where we're going to show how this magic happens of this card. Okay? So we're going to take this and we're going to fold it over and it's going to go right here. Okay? So we're going to put some adhesive on the edge here. Be careful about getting too close to the outer edge because you don't want any stickiness. Okay? So we're going to give it a generous amount. Now you could use tear and tape or liquid glue here, whatever you want. But people are going to be opening and closing this card to see how cool it is and how you made it. And then we're just going to lay this next to the score line, but not over. So we don't want to hinder that fold. We're going to make sure that we're flush on the top and the bottom. Let's make sure that'll close easily, right? We want that to close. And then we'll go ahead and burnish that down. All right. Now we're going to take this piece, we're going to fold it over so that the front is facing up. And we're going to repeat that process. Oh, I got a little close to the edge. That's going to cause me trouble. All right. Okay, so we've got that. Then while we hold this down, like so, we're just going to close our card. Okay? Making sure that it's all nice and flush and even, top, bottom, side. Good to go. Take our bone folder and give that a good press. All right. Now we're going to fold that again. And now we have our shadow box. Okay. And before I did that, I should have decorated the inside. You can do it this way. It's not ideal, but it can be done. We're just going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do something that we tell you not to do. I'm going to pop these up right here because I want this to stand away from the back of the shadow box a bit. So I'm just going to put this in here like so. Then I'm going to take my little bunny rabbit. He's going to go in here like so. So we're going to put a little bit of Stampin' Seal on his head. Okay. Then I'm going to take some minis. And I'm going to put this out here. And this is going to be outside of the pot. And I'll be able to put just a little one right there. Okay, and then we're going to put this in here like so. Okay, just making sure before I take my backings off that I'm not going to interfere with my pot. So we'll put this in here like so. And now we have the inside of our shadow box decorated. Okay, so we'll close that up and we can go to the outside. For the outside, we're just going to glue everything down. Okay, I already have my pop-up on the inside, so I don't want to pop up on the outside. So we're going to put our little bunny guy right over here. I'm going to have to put something, I got to put something on him. He's going to pop up too far. I'm going to take two, that's what I'm going to do. Let's stack two glue dots because he's got a bit of dimension to keep him away. And this will make him sit a little evenly without adding any additional bulk. Okay, so we'll just put him here like this. Oh, I need to put this down first before I get that too far. So I want to be able to slip this in. Okay, we're going to slip that in there like that. And take a carrot and slip it in like this. I'm going to take my radish and slip it in here like that. Oh, I didn't put any glue on the carrot. Slip that in like that. Okay. There we go. You know what? This is not wanting to stay down. I'm going to take a mini glue dot actually, or dimensional, because I think I need to do that. Because this is popped up far enough that it's not wanting to do what I want it to do. So I'm just going to take a little mini glue dot or mini dimensional here and here, and then that'll just give that the same height. Okay, there we go. And then finally we need some little strawberries, and so we're just going to throw those down here. And again, just going to put some glue here, attach those there, and then we're going to take a couple of glue dots here, stack them on top of each other, and a little bit of Stampin' Seal here. put our Somebody Loves You right here. And then all we need to do is add a couple of gems. Let's see which ones I had for these. Maybe I didn't have any for this one. Okay, well, I'm guessing I don't have gems for this one. That's okay. So what do you think of that card? There we go. When you open it up, fits in a standard size envelope. There's your front. Then when you open it up, it looks like that. Okay? All right, so let's make card number 2. We're going to use the same fun fold. We're going to bring in completely different supplies, and we'll finish this up. So let me throw this one down here for you while I'm cleaning up just a bit. You can take a better look. All right. So that's a pretty super simple design, don't you think? Pretty easy to put together, but wow. It's super cool. All right. So we don't need these. Let's get these out of the way. Hang on one second. Oh, let me go ahead and show you. I made a couple more cards. So here's a card that I did with the, what is that called? Special Storybook Moments. This is just using the designer series paper. So this is the Forever Plaid. This is again the boho blue. I've used pecan pie for the stamp, and again I resized that same die. This is from the Storybook Moments, and then I did this and made it a Father's Day card, and again just a die cut. Okay, but this time I used the meant to be hexagons. All right, so there's a super fast card, packing a wow if you just have that designer series paper. And these sentiments here, the Happy Father's Day and grateful for you all year long, those come from the stamp set beside me right here. And this is on the last chance list. Okay. Perhaps you have this in your collection. I believe this was a celebration add-on last February, not this year, but in 2024. Okay, so there is another card idea for you if you just had die cuts or ephemera. Okay, and then I did show you that first card. So that was a combination of the stamp set and the ephemera pack. Okay, let's set this aside. I'm going to actually move these down completely out of the way. All right, there we go. Then I won't be getting confused. All right, let's bring in the next card. I've pre-done a bunch of this too to save us some time. So again, we have our 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece of cardstock. This color is Secret Sea. This is one of those new in colors. Okay. This is the 4 1/4 by 6 3/4. This time I've used the meant to be, and I embossed this first with the exposed brick 3D embossing folder. So I just set this in here like this, closed it up, put it in my cut and emboss machine sideways. You have to be very careful when you do this so that you don't hit the side of your spine on the side of your machine. So do this with caution. And then I scored it at the 1¼ inch mark from each end. So we'll go ahead and fold. Oh, so I embossed it and then I put the hexagon in there. And I did that so that the embossing wouldn't be quite so deep and I would have a sturdier card. Okay, I did one the other way, and this part is a little bit more flimsy. I found that if I emboss first and then die cut second, this is a little bit thicker. Okay, it's a little bit sturdier, and I'll show you the difference for that in a moment. Okay, let's see what I did on this card because I don't quite remember. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and score this one again. Let's bring in the scoring tool. 4¼ by 11. We're going to score it at 5½. I'm so glad you guys like that card. And then we're going to score it again at 9¾ flip it over on the reverse side and score at 4¼ okay, now we've got that. And this time we're using the meant to be dies to cut our shapes. So we used this one, which is the second from the smallest for the cutout. And this is also dies cut. We use the same one for the inside piece as well. Okay. All of our, or fold and burnish on all of our score lines. Remember, turn that valley score into a mountain fold. Valley score indented into a mountain. Okay, so this is ready. Now for this, I've taken some of the Lovely Garden. This is a new release. This was in the mini. And we're going to put this, or maybe it was online exclusives. Man, I can't tell. Let me look. Let me look at my... I get so confused on what is what anymore. Anyway, it's current product. I'm not sure whether it's online exclusives, annual catalog. I don't know. Okay. So I'm just going to put this on the inside here. Okay. Then I'm going to turn this over. And I'm going to add the same design to the front. Okay. Now, for this outside piece, I took a piece. Oh, I didn't do it. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to do that. That's terrible. I use the exposed brick 3D, and I'm just going to run this over to the machine real quick so I don't have to bring that in. And I'm just going to emboss this piece. I cut it and I forgot to emboss it. Sorry about that. Okay, so give me just 1 second. Not going anywhere. Just going to grab that and run it through real quick so I don't have to bring that into the camera and clear off my desk. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. And then I'm just going to put this down here. Okay, and that's going to be our embellishment for this. This particular piece is 1 inch by 4 inch. And this color is called Cloud Cover. And it also is one of the new in colors. Are you seeing a theme for this card yet? Okay. So we've got that. Now let's go ahead and go back to the inside. I'm going to take our white piece here, and this time we do have a sentiment to put in. And let's see, it is from the Pattern of Friendship. I do have it out. Okay, where'd I hide it? Uh-oh. Oh, maybe it's... Oh, I don't think... You guys, I know it's got to be right here in front of my face, but can I see it? Okay, there's 1, 2... Uh-oh. I didn't put it in here. I'm pretty sure I didn't. You guys, I don't know what I did with that. That's terrible. No, it's not in one of those. Okay, well, when I find it, I'll put "You Bring Me So Much Joy and Laughter to My Life" in here. But right now, oh, it's got to be on a big block, because the big block is... Oh, wait a minute. I'm so silly. Here's all my stamps for this one. Oh my goodness, I would lose my brain if my head wasn't attached. Okay, here are woo, here are the stamps we're using. Oh my gosh. Crack me up. Okay. Friends are the family you choose for yourself. And we're just going to stamp this right here. As straight as we... What? Are you kidding me, mister? Apparently, Buddy decided he wanted to participate. Okay, so then we're going to put this in right here. We'll just add this to the inside of our card here. Okay, now do a little bit of stamping here. We're going to take the large stamp from Happy Hibiscus. This was a November online exclusive, and this is actually stamps, dies, and a hybrid embossing folder, but we're not using the hybrid embossing folder tonight. We're using the stamps. So we're going to stamp the 3 sets here, these 3 flowers in Secret C. And if you're going to run this through the embossing folder, the ideal cardstock size for this is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're going to take Timid Tiger, and we're going to ink up the largest flower. Let that sit for just a second. Okay. And then we're going to go to Darling Duckling. Second flower. Okay. And finally, we're going to do strawberry slush. Now, strawberry slush was in color in 2013 to 15. I still have my old pad, although this pad does not want to lock in place. Okay, so now we've got our 3 flowers. We're going to need a couple of leaves. So we're going to take our leaf stamp, and I'm going back to my secret C. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Just kidding. I'm going to garden green. And I'm going to try and stamp these on the excess paper here. And I might need another little scrap. Okay. All right. So we've got 3 of those. Now let that dry for a minute. We'll cut this out with the die. And of course, that stamped as 3. So it also cuts as 3. Okay, so you stamp the outside images once, and then you can cut them all at once. In the hybrid folder, you can cut and emboss all at the same time. Okay, so through the magic of television, I've already done that. Okay, so here are our flowers cut. Now, while I was die cutting, I needed 3 of the large leaves. This die is also in the Happy Hibiscus, and I cut 3 of those in cloud cover. Okay. And then for these little leaves here, we don't have cloud cover ink. There is a problem with the ink formula. It keeps changing colors and not remaining true to the color it's supposed to be, so Stampin' Up! Has not released it. However, I do have the Stampin' Write markers in the 25 to 27 in colors. So I've stamped my leaf in garden green, and then I'm going to take my Stampin' Write marker, and I'm just going to go in and fill that in with the marker. Okay, I'm going to do that 3 times, and then I'm going to cut those out with the corresponding die. And those are already done too. Okay, so we've got those. One here. I'm just going to dump all my pieces out that I've already die cut. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, and 3 of those. And then I took these dies here. You get a large flower and a small flower, and you get 2 of each. And I cut a large flower and a small flower in each of Darling Duckling, Strawberry Slush, and Timid Tiger. Okay, so I've got those. I've already put those 2 together. I made some extra flowers when I was playing. We're going to use one of those for the inside, but this is what I want to show you for this. Okay, I'm going to take the large flower, and I want to give this some depth and dimension, because just stacking these 2 doesn't give you a lot of depth and dimension. So if you look at these ones, you can see that the larger flower is a different color. It's a little bit darker hue of the smaller flower. So I'm going to take the, in this case, Timid Tiger, because that's what it is. And I'm going to take my Stampin' Write marker, and I'm just going to go over that with my marker. I don't need to worry about the center because that's going to be covered. And I'm just going to color that up. Okay? And I did that with all of those, just the large flowers. Okay, now while these are drying, because these are actually for the outside, we're going to go ahead and put this inside piece together. Okay, so let's get our flowers here. Move this. I'm going to move these out of the way here. Get these off to the side. Let's bring in our white hexagon. Remember, this is the same size as the one that we cut out previously. Again, let's go ahead and put some Stamp and Seal on here. And then I'm going to lay this down like so. I wonder why it feels a little dark here. I hope that doesn't hurt the image, but I need to see. Maybe it makes it a little bit brighter for you guys too. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm just going to take this and center it in here like so. Move that out of the way. Take my thumb on these. And you know what? We haven't used any Winkostella tonight, and that just is not acceptable. So let's go ahead and curl the edges of our flowers. Throw on a little bit of Winkostella. Doesn't need to be precise. Just want it to get a little bit of shine there. Okay. Now, we're going to start with our large flower. I'm just going to put some Stamp and Seal in the middle. And I'm going to put this down like so. I'm going to take my yellow flower, my darling duckling flower, and I'm going to put this in here like that. Then we're going to take a glue dot or two. I'm going to stack these. That's two glue dots, one on top of the other. I'll put this in here like so. And then, good. I've got three. These are ones that I cut and I didn't get all of the stem, and that's exactly what I want. I don't need all that stem, so I'm just going to take some liquid glue here. And I'm going to put these in sort of how I think I want them to go. I'm not pushing them down because I want to be able to move them if they're not how I want them. Like so. We'll add this in. And I'm going to put that right underneath there like that. Happy with that, press it down. Okay, now I can go ahead and add, uh-oh, what happened to it? There it is. Whew, thought I lost it for a second. Our pieces are running away. Okay, now let's go ahead and put some Stamp and Seal on here. Remember, not right to the edge. Okay, and then in this section here, right here in the center, this is the outside, turn it over, put the outside to the inside of the card, line up just to the right of the score line. Make sure you're even on the top and the bottom, and give it a press. Okay, then we're going to fold this over. add our adhesive. I got a little close to the edge at the bottom again. Good grief. Close this up so that this is flat. The card front is flat. Make sure everything's squared before you set that down all the way. And then take your bone folder and now we have the inside of our card. Okay. All right, now we have we're gonna add some gems, but we're gonna do that in a minute because we're gonna add some on the front as well as the back. Now let's bring in that timid tiger, those flowers. I'm just gonna put just a little drop of liquid glue right there in the center of the large one. Then I'm going to line up this little slit here and the tip of this opposite on these petals. So give me 1 second here and I will show you what I mean. Okay, that one's all set, so I'll show you with this one. So you take the slit in the petal here, line it in the small petal, this slit here, with the slit in the larger petal, and then these lines should go straight across and center between the two larger petals on the opposite side. And that will give you a nice contrast. Okay. Then we're going to bring in our Stampin' Pierce mat and our Take Your Pick tool, and I'm using the putty tip cap, and I'm just going to press that into the pad, and that's going to pop my petals up. Okay. And we'll do that with all three. And there we go. Okay. So the last thing that we need to do, well, getting close, we need to stamp our happy birthday on our piece of, this is cloud cover. Again, I cut this with that same die. Oh, actually, this one's smaller. I wonder why I did that. Oh, because it's supposed to go. Where's my blue one? Hang on, you guys. Choo, choo, choo. What did I do with that? Yeah, they're supposed to be the large blue ones I cut out of the center I need. What did I do with it? It's over here. It's over here. And this is the one I cut, but this one isn't going to work. Hang on. I got to cut a bigger... Oh, no, I don't. What am I doing? Silly me. I don't need the bigger one. I need this one. And then I need the frame that came from cutting out this. I lost it there for a second, didn't I? Yep. Okay. Now, I want to make sure this is going to be straight. My first one was not so much. So I'm going to put this into my stamp positioning tool. And I'm going to take the happy birthday from Patterns of Friendship, the same one we used on the inside of the card for our sentiment. I'm going to line this up in the center there. I'll lay that down, and then I'm going to make sure that this is straight on the lines. Okay, and this one has a, gotta take that off. Oops. Okay, then we'll just lay that down. Again, we're going to take Secret C. We're going to ink up that happy birthday. And then we're going to give that a good press. Let that soak in. I'm going to do that one more time so that I get a nice, good, solid image. Sometimes colored cardstock needs a second inking. Especially, there we go. Nice and bold. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. I don't want that to get all yucky. I'll clean that later. Okay. So here is our piece. Now let's bring back in the front of our card. We're going to put this in the center. Center that up as best we can. Okay. Then I'm going to take that frame that came from the inside of the card, because these hexagons not only cut the solid shape, but it cuts a frame at the same time, which is super cool. And because I embossed this, before I cut it, my frame has just a tiny bit of embossing on it. Okay. There we go. Let's just line those all up. Give them a good push so that they cinch up right how they came out. Okay, so there is our front. Now we're going to take our Strawberry Slush, Timid Tiger, and Darling Duckling, and some glue dots. I'm going to put that up here. Just putting one in the center. Right there. Okay, then we'll stick this down here. This here. Oh, we might need to move this a little bit. Oh, I ripped it left the glue dot. Okay, hang on. Gonna need another glue dot. All right, so let's move this here. So don't push it down till you're ready. Okay, we'll do that and that. And then I need to bring in my leaves. And for these, I'm going to cut these off. I don't need the bottom. I don't want them to be that big. So I'm just going to do a little bit of surgery. Take a glue dot. And then I'm going to just give those a little bit of curl with my nail. And then we're going to put one down here. Lift this up. Put one in here. And then we'll put one over here. And another one. Yep, I'm happy with that. And then I'm just going to go in here and give those a press with my tweezers to make sure that glue dot adheres. And this is almost finished. I'm going to take one of those extra flowers that I stamped, the little ones. And again, I'm going to take a glue dot. I'm going to bring this to the inside of my card. right there. Okay. Add a tiny bit of Wink of Stella to that. All right. Now, the finishing touch for this card, sorry I've kept you so long, is to bring in the 2025 to 2027 in color flat pearls. And take your pick tool. I'm going to take the little cloud cover one. I'm going to put in my strawberry slush. I'm going to take a secret sea and put in my yellow flower. I'm going to take a darling duckling and put in my orange flower. I'm going to give those a press. I'm using the littlest ones. And then I'm going to open my card. And I'm going to take the large secret sea. And I'm going to stick right in the center of my large yellow flower. Okay. And that is the second pop-up shadow box. There we go, my friends. There it stands on the mantle or wherever you want to put it. Looks super cool. And that really wasn't that hard. Okay. All right. And this is the envelope that goes with that. So there we are. Hope you liked those projects tonight. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope that you like this introduction to the 25 to 27 in colors. I had a lot of fun working these out, and I love this fun fold. Thank you, Julie Salva, for teaching it to me. I appreciate it so much. All right, everybody. I will be back on Thursday night with a live on YouTube at 7, and then I'll be back next week, Tuesday night at 7 p.m. right here on Facebook. I hope you'll join me. If you liked what you saw tonight, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I would appreciate it. It makes a difference to my channel. Thanks so much, you guys. Good night.